Lots of Democrats from our area had big wins on Election Day, and there were also some big Democratic wins in state houses and local races across the country. I sat down with one of the top people in the party who helped steer Democrats to victory last Tuesday. Assemblyman Michael Blake represents the Bronx, and he's also the vice chair of the DNC. We spoke about some local issues like police-community relations. Assemblyman, the message of the recent primaries in terms of from Westchester County to the governor's race in Virginia, Democrats did quite well. Do you agree that Election Day was a referendum on President Trump?
Absolutely, it was a referendum on Trump. President Trump. You look at his complete lack of accomplishments legislatively. You look at his and listen to his disastrous rhetoric, which is racist, it's sexist, is emboldened in bigotry and misogyny. People rejected it. But we also didn't just say Trump is bad. We told people why we're good. And that's something that we have to be consistent about as Democrats. We talk about the vision of a better deal. A better deal for wages, a better deal for jobs, a better deal on criminal justice reform, better deal on health care and housing. And that's why we had so many victories around the country. And you look at what happened on election night, it was historic and game changing. You have the first Democratic county supervisor in Hempstead in more than 100 years. You had a Democratic victory in Westchester County, in Nassau, with Laura Curran and Jack Schneerman. It showed what's possible. You look at in Buffalo, Byron Brown being elected to a fourth term. Again, it sends a message. But then you look at Virginia, where Ralph Northam won by 9 points, when the day before the election, people were saying that Gillespie was going to win that race. So it was a referendum, but now we have to keep this going. Now we have to continue to show people how we're going to help them keep their health care, how we're going to help them keep their jobs, how we're going to help them have a better education, and remind them of the better deal that we are providing as a Democratic Party.
Assemblyman, a few years back, there was a big to-do over an encounter that the NYPD had with you. An officer apparently threw you up against a fence. Why did you go public with this?
Because my name and my title shouldn't lead to me having a level of justice that someone else doesn't have. And it allowed for more people to come forward with the challenges that they have had and what they have seen. I've been consistent and clear. I believe that 95% of officers are doing the right thing, and I think 95% of residents are doing the right thing. All we're saying is that when someone does something wrong, that they should be held accountable. And when you look at what transpired in that situation, where the officers themselves very clearly, they said they saw me as a threat, they tossed me against the gate because of that, they only let go of me because another officer recognized me. When you have those things happen, then you realize, you know what, something has to change. And so we were able to continue the conversations between the cops and the community to say we have to build these bridges together.
Are police-community relations getting better?
They're making progress, but the reality is that when 1 out of every 3 black men in this country are expected to serve time in prison, and 1 out of 6 Latino men versus 1 out of 17 white men, something has to change. When you have scenarios where people are seen as threats, something has to change. And so the fact remains that these incidents continue. And if they continue, then there has to be something to break that cycle. And it's broader than just what happens in that moment. We say regularly it's before, during, and after. What do you do to make sure that the schools have the support that they need so that the kid's not on the corner in the first place? What do you do to make sure that the community has the jobs they need so someone is not struggling in the first place? What do you do to make sure you're restoring opportunities and trainings while someone's incarcerated? What are you doing when someone comes out and has an opportunity to be able to develop and grow from there? Again, you look at the Commonwealth of Virginia, what Governor McAuliffe did of restoring voting rights more than any other governor in the history of the country. You look at the state of Florida, where they have a ballot referendum of next year, 1.8 former felons having a chance to have their voting rights back. All of that is a part of that chronological system of making those changes. But now we have to stay on the ground. We have some great relationships here. 4-2 precinct, 4-0 precinct, 4-4 precinct, PSA 7, very engaged relationships. The community policing program, neighborhood community officers, they're important because you want someone to walk down the block and in that moment of indecision, give you the benefit of the doubt. And if you don't continue those relationships, that's not going to happen because you don't want to be in a scenario where someone doesn't know what's going on and they hesitate and they wonder and then your life is at risk. So we're seeing improvements, but there's far more that needs to be done.
I want to close this way, Assemblyman, in terms of someone that you've known for some time, and that is President Obama. How is President Obama going to go down in history? How will he be remembered?
Oh, President Obama will be one of the top 5, I think, in the argument, maybe top 3 presidents ever. When you think about his legacy of accomplishments, given what he was up against, not just from a dynamic as relates to race, which was obvious, dynamic of you had a Republican Congress that was adamant from the beginning of trying to do everything possible to not work with him, from Mitch McConnell saying that his #1 goal was to make Barack Obama a one-term president. You think about what he was able to achieve in the midst of that. Healthcare, no question, that was obvious, and that's continuing to show that progress. Getting out of the war and reducing the numbers, as he said, no question, progress. The reducing of mandatory minimum sentencing and focusing on the 21st century community police program. Just many of the things he was able to do. But on top of that, he was able to train the next generation. And that's why we're out here now. I met him in 2006 when I was one of 10 people that were trained in his Yes We Can training program. And it was to open up doors for us to learn about the process of politics. We say to our team often, the rule of the 5 Ps, proper preparation prevents poor performance. Right? And so to take that now, because of what he showed us and continues to demonstrate with us, I was able to see him twice in the last 2 months just for this extended conversations. And he is constantly wondering, okay, what are we doing to help the next generation?
Up next, our Hudson Valley headlines.